My name is Cassandra, but most people just call me Cass. I'm 32 years old, and to put it bluntly, I've done well for myself. Not in a flashy way, not in a way that screams millionaire, but well enough to be comfortable. I have a career I love, I travel when I want, and I don't lose sleep over bills. Most importantly, I got here on my own. No handouts, no shortcuts, just years of hard work. That's something my family can't stand. I grew up in a household where success was measured in two ways: how much you could take from others, and how loudly you could complain when there was nothing left to take. My parents, Lisa and Mark, were experts at both. My older brother, Nathan, and my younger sister, Rachel, followed in their footsteps without hesitation. The four of them were a tight unit, always watching each other's backs, but not in a loving, supportive way. More like a pack of wolves, waiting for the right moment to sink their teeth into anyone who showed weakness. I was different. Maybe it was because I was the middle child. Maybe it was because I learned early on that relying on them meant setting myself up for disappointment. Whatever the reason, I left home the moment I could, put myself through college with scholarships and side jobs, and carved out a life that had nothing to do with them. That should have been the end of it. But family ties are complicated. No matter how much distance I put between us, they always found a way to pull me back in. Not with kindness, not with apologies, but with guilt. They were struggling. I was doing well. Wasn't it my duty to help? And, stupidly, I did. It started small. A couple $100s here, paying off a late bill there. Then came the loans that were never repaid, the emergencies that somehow only ever seemed to happen to them. And then, the house. I bought the house 2 years ago as an investment property. A beautiful 3-bedroom home in a good neighborhood, the kind of place I wished I'd grown up in. It was supposed to be a rental, something to generate passive income. But my parents had other ideas. The moment they found out I owned a house, the manipulation began. My mother called me in tears, sobbing about how their landlord had raised the rent again, how they couldn't afford it, how they were going to end up on the streets. My father, always the more practical one, didn't cry. He just sighed heavily and told me how disappointing it was that their own daughter would rather rent to strangers than help her family. Nathan and Rachel chimed in too, acting like I was some kind of monster for hesitating. "You have everything," Rachel had sneered. "Why can't you just do this one thing for them?" So, I caved. I told myself it was temporary, that they'd get back on their feet and move out in a few months. But months turned into a year. A year turned into 2. And in all that time, they never paid a single cent. Not for rent. Not for utilities. Not even for maintenance. I covered everything. And if I ever dared to bring it up, they acted like I was the one being unreasonable. "They're your parents, Cass," Nathan had said once, shaking his head like I was some ungrateful child. "You wouldn't even have this house if they hadn't raised you." Rachel was worse. "What's a few $1,000s to you? You make more in a month than most people do in a year." The way they saw it, my success wasn't really mine. It was theirs. Something they were entitled to. Which brings me to tonight. It's my father's birthday, and my mother insisted on throwing a big family dinner at the house I paid for, of course. I had no intention of going. I had long since stopped trying to be part of their little club. But then my mother called, her voice syrupy sweet, telling me how much it would mean to them if I showed up, how it had been so long since we'd all been together. I should have said no. I should have ignored the call and gone about my life. But there's still that part of me, buried deep down, that wants to believe they're capable of being different. That maybe, just maybe, they can treat me like a daughter instead of a walking ATM. So, I go. I park down the street, taking a moment to gather myself before walking up the driveway. The lights inside are bright, shadows moving behind the curtains. Laughter spills out through the slightly open window loud, unfiltered. I pause, my hand on the doorknob, just as my name is spoken. She actually came? Rachel's voice drips with amusement. I thought she was too busy hoarding her precious money to spend time with her family. Maybe she's finally learned to be generous, Nathan laughs. Doubt it, though. You know how she is. Ungrateful, my mother sighs. After everything we did for her. My father scoffs. No husband, no kids, all that money and nothing to show for it. She thinks she's better than us, but in the end, she's going to die alone. Rachel hums in agreement. She should be grateful she even gets to help us. Not like she'd have anywhere else to belong. I let go of the doorknob. There's no anger, no sadness. Just a cold, quiet realization. They will never change. They don't love me. They never did. To them, I'm not family. I'm a resource. A bank account they can draw from whenever they want, with no regard for the person behind it. I step back from the door, turn around, and walk away, my heels clicking softly against the pavement. I pull my phone from my pocket, my fingers steady as I dial the number. A voice picks up on the second ring. Cassandra? What's up? I take a breath, the night air crisp against my skin. I'm ready, I say. Start the eviction process. Silence. Then, a low whistle. Finally had enough? I glance back at the house one last time, the light spilling out like a warm invitation I know better than to accept. Yeah, I murmur. I think I have. I hang up the phone and slip it back into my pocket, the weight of what I just set in motion hitting me all at once. My heart doesn't race. There's no rush of adrenaline or triumph. It's more like a quiet relief, like the moment you let go of something heavy after carrying it for far too long. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm finally doing something for me, something that's been a long time coming. I stand there for a minute, just breathing in the cool air, grounding myself before heading back to the family gathering. As I approach the door again, I can hear their laughter from inside. The words are still there, lingering in my mind, Rachel's mocking tone, Nathan's dismissive chuckle, my parents' disappointed sighs. I force myself to take another step and enter the house. The dining room is decked out like some sort of celebration, balloons, banners, and a cake that I know my mother didn't bake herself. The moment I step inside, the conversation dies down, and all eyes shift to me. My family, for all their flaws, knows how to make an entrance feel like an event. The silence isn't uncomfortable, though. It's almost as if they're waiting for something. A dramatic pause before the performance begins. Cass, you made it. My mother's voice is syrupy sweet, too sweet, like she's trying just a little too hard to play the role of the doting mother. I force a smile and nod, as if her backhanded compliments and veiled criticisms don't bother me. Come in, dear. Take a seat. We've been waiting for you. I slide into a chair at the end of the table, the seat that's always been mine since I was a kid. They've never made room for anyone else. No boyfriends, no partners, no friends, just me. I can feel their eyes on me, but I keep my focus straight ahead, pretending to admire the centerpieces. Rachel shoots me a quick glance, her lips curling up into a barely concealed sneer. It's always been like this with her, like she's bitter I've managed to carve out a life without relying on them. My father grunts from the other end of the table, fiddling with his fork as he eyes me like I'm some kind of puzzle he hasn't quite figured out. So, Cass, he says, his voice low and careful. How's the business going? Still raking in all that cash? His tone is passive-aggressive, the kind of jab that's supposed to sound innocent but is anything but. I don't take the bait. It's going well, I say, keeping my voice neutral. I won't give them the satisfaction of knowing how well it's going. Busy, but good. Good, my mother says quickly, too quickly. Glad to hear it. We've been wondering, though, how much longer we can stay in this place. We don't want to overstay our welcome. The words hang in the air for a moment, and I can't help but laugh inside. They really think I'm that naive, that I haven't noticed the way they've been manipulating me for the past 2 years. The guilt trips, the faux concern, the constant reminders of how hard they've worked for me, all of it, designed to make me feel like I owe them something. Nathan, always the one to push things a little further, leans back in his chair with a smirk. Yeah, I mean, Cass, you're doing so well for yourself. I don't think it'd be too much of a stretch for you to, help us out more. We've been living here for a while now. I feel my jaw tighten, but I keep my composure. You're welcome to stay as long as you need to, I reply, my voice as calm as I can manage. But I think we both know this situation can't go on forever. Rachel pipes up, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Yeah, right? If you ever decide to actually help us. But I guess it's hard when you're too busy spending your money on yourself, huh? I force a smile, but I can see her smirk faltering as I lean forward slightly, my eyes meeting hers. Rachel, you've never been shy about telling me what you think I should do with my life. But just so you know, I don't need to justify my success to you or anyone else. The words are sharp, cutting through the tension in the room, but I don't care. I've let them push me around for far too long. My mother shifts in her seat, her smile never quite reaching her eyes. Of course not, dear, she says, but there's a thinly veiled bitterness in her tone. We just want what's best for you, that's all. I glance around the table, and for the first time, I don't feel the pull of guilt or obligation. I don't feel the weight of their expectations pressing down on me. I know, deep down, that what I'm about to do is the right thing, even if they'll never see it that way. I nod slowly, my gaze hardening. Well, I've made some decisions, and I think it's time we have a conversation about the future, I say, my voice steady, but with a firmness that makes everyone in the room sit up a little straighter. I don't need to say it aloud. They all know what I mean. I'm done being the one they can lean on without ever giving anything back. It's time for them to face the consequences of their actions. The silence stretches on, thick and uncomfortable. My father is the first to break it, his voice low and edged with something like impatience. "What's that supposed to mean, Cass?" he asks, his brow furrowed. "You don't think we've done enough for you over the years?" I let out a slow breath, my mind flashing back to all the times I've been the one to help, the one to bail them out, the one to fix things when they couldn't be bothered to try. "No, I don't," I answer softly, but the words hit harder than I expected. "And I think it's time you all start to figure things out on your own." The room goes still. There's no arguing, no outburst, just a tense, unnerving silence. I can feel my mother's eyes on me, but I don't flinch. I've made my decision. Now, it's time to let them stew on it. As the night drags on, the conversation shifts, but the tension remains. I can tell they're all trying to act normal, but it's like they're walking on eggshells around me. I don't care. I'm done playing along. By the time I leave, nothing has been resolved, but I know something's changed. I've set things in motion. And when I get home, I make that call again, just to confirm. This time, I'm not backing down. And they don't even know what's coming for them. The following morning, I wake up to a quiet sense of satisfaction that lingers in the air. It's not the kind of satisfaction you get from winning a fight, but the kind that comes when you finally put yourself first after years of giving so much to everyone else. I made the call last night, and today, it's all going to come to a head. I'm sitting at my kitchen table, sipping on my coffee, when I hear the familiar ring of my phone. It's my lawyer. I glance at the screen and answer with a steady voice, even though I can already feel the nerves bubbling beneath the surface. "Cass," the lawyer greets me, his tone crisp. "It's all set. We're ready to send them the notice." My heart skips a beat. I take a deep breath. Perfect. Let's do it. I can already picture it, the shock on my parents' faces when they get the official notice that they have to vacate the house. The house I bought for them to live in, under the pretense that it was just temporary. They don't know that I've already made the arrangements to have them removed if they don't comply. After everything, it's time for them to face the reality of their actions. They've taken advantage of my kindness long enough. As the hours tick by, I try to keep myself calm. I'm not nervous. I'm just ready. I don't need to justify myself anymore. I don't need to wait for their approval or their guilt trips. This is my decision, and I'm not backing down. I can almost hear the arguments already. How could I do this to them? How could I kick them out after everything they've done for me? But I know the truth, they've never truly done anything for me. It's always been about what they could take, not about what they could give. And this is me finally drawing a line in the sand. The text comes through at exactly 11:30 a.m., official, professional, and final. The eviction notice has been sent, and in less than 30 days, my parents and siblings will be out of the house. I stand there for a second, staring at the phone, and let out a slow exhale. A wave of relief washes over me. They won't understand it now, but they will eventually. They have no idea how much this moment has taken out of me. And then, at that exact moment, my phone buzzes again. This time, it's a text from Rachel. It's a single sentence. "Why would you do this?" I stare at it for a long moment, almost laughing to myself. The audacity of it. It's just like Rachel to flip the script, to make me the villain in this whole situation, to act like I'm the one who's done something wrong. I don't respond right away. It's better to let her stew for a while. I'll deal with it when the time's right. That evening, I drive over to their house to talk to them. The tension is thick from the moment I step inside, and it's not just because of the notice I sent earlier. No, there's something else simmering underneath the surface. My mother's eyes are cold when they land on me, and my father's hands are clenched tightly around his drink. Rachel and Nathan are already seated at the table, their faces like open books, exposed, angry, and confused all at once. They know something is different. They just don't know what. I make my way to the table, and for the first time in a long time, I feel like the one in control. No more walking on eggshells. No more pretending to be something I'm not just to keep the peace. This is my turn. "Cass, we need to talk about this," my father says, his voice tight. "You can't just throw us out like this. We've been here for 2 years, and you owe us." I don't flinch. Actually, I don't owe you anything. I've done more than enough. But I can't keep doing it anymore. My mother's voice rises slightly, desperate. "How can you do this to your own family? After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us." Rachel's eyes narrow, and her lips curl into a sneer. "It's typical of you, Cass. Always thinking you're better than the rest of us. You think you can just pull this kind of thing without any consequences? I turned to face her, my voice steady but filled with a quiet certainty. I'm not the one who's been using my family's kindness for my own advantage. You're right. Maybe I am better than you. I don't need to hide behind guilt or manipulation. I can stand on my own. Rachel's face flushes, but before she can snap back, my father interrupts, his voice hardening. You think this is about you being better than us? It's about respect. It's about family. You think we don't deserve a roof over our heads after everything we've done for you? We gave you everything, Cass. We sacrificed for you. And look where we are now. I shoot back, my frustration bubbling to the surface. You've been living in my house for 2 years without paying rent, taking advantage of me at every turn. You're not the ones who made sacrifices. You didn't give me anything that was worth anything. I did this all on my own. Enough. My mother snaps, her voice rising in a rare display of anger. I can't believe you'd turn your back on us like this. You're disrespecting your family. I shake my head slowly, the disappointment in their eyes not fazing me anymore. No, Mom, you disrespected me a long time ago. I'm done being your safety net, your charity case, your punching bag. You don't get to guilt trip me into submission anymore. The table goes silent, and for a moment, no one knows what to say. The usual cycle of guilt tripping, manipulation, and self-righteous anger seems to have hit a wall. No one knows how to react when I stop playing along. Rachel's lips tremble with anger, and she stands abruptly, knocking over her chair. I can't even look at you right now, her voice cold and cutting. You're awful. My father stands up, too, his voice low and seething with a barely controlled rage. You don't get to treat us like this. You'll regret this, Cass. You'll regret everything. I won't, I reply, my voice steady and unwavering. Because it's done. The house is mine, and you'll have to figure things out without me. I feel the weight of the words settle between us, and I know that this moment, this conversation will change everything. But there's no going back now. I've crossed a line, and it's too late for them to fix it. I turn to walk out, but not before I hear my father's voice one last time. You'll be sorry, Cass. You'll see. I don't answer. I don't need to. Because I know, deep down, they'll never see things the way I do. And they'll never understand why I did what I did. As I close the door behind me, I feel a strange sense of finality. There's no going back from this. And they don't even realize that I've just set everything in motion. The following weeks felt surreal. Every time I walked into my house, I couldn't help but notice the weight that had lifted from my shoulders. There were no more angry, guilt-ridden texts. No more visits from my parents. No more passive-aggressive remarks from Rachel. It felt like a lifetime of tension had finally unraveled, and for the first time in years, I had room to breathe. But of course, that wasn't the end of it. I knew it wouldn't be. The eviction notice had been crystal clear, and the clock was ticking down. My parents had tried to delay it. They'd attempted to appeal, sending me pleading messages about how hard things were for them. It was the same old story, but I had already made up my mind. My decision was final, and nothing they said could change that. I hadn't heard from them for a while, not until the day the movers arrived. I was at work when I got the text. My mother, ever the victim, had sent it with a simple line, "You're heartless." My first instinct was to respond with something equally cutting, but I stopped myself. There was no need. I had already done what was necessary. They had to face the consequences of their actions. The movers arrived that afternoon. My parents weren't home, which, frankly, was better for everyone. I didn't have to deal with their angry words or guilt-laden attempts to manipulate me one last time. I had given them more than enough chances. Now, they would face the reality of what they had done. By the time I got back home that evening, the house was quiet. It was empty, and the only thing that remained was the hollow space left behind by the people who had once filled it. There were no more arguments, no more demands. I walked through the house, looking at the rooms that had been occupied by them for so long. It was almost like a weight had been lifted from the very walls themselves. The silence was deafening, but it felt good. I checked my phone. There was another message, this time from Rachel. I can't believe you kicked us out like this. You don't even care about family. You think you're so much better than us. I didn't even bother responding. The next few days were strange. My phone buzzed with family members trying to get in touch, messages from cousins, distant relatives, and even some of my friends who had heard rumors. Some of them tried to play mediator, asking if I could just forgive them, or telling me how harsh I was being. They didn't understand, and I couldn't bring myself to explain. What was there to explain anyway? I had been carrying them for years, allowing them to manipulate me and guilt-trip me into doing everything for them. But no one had ever truly been there for me. No one had ever asked what I needed or how I felt. It was always about what I could give. My parents didn't respect me. They never had. They were angry now, but that would eventually fade. They'd be fine, and if they weren't, that wasn't my problem anymore. A week after the eviction, I finally heard from my father. He didn't ask how I was doing or check on me. Instead, it was a long, angry rant about how I had destroyed the family and that I would eventually come crawling back, realizing my mistake. I read the message, then deleted it. The next family gathering was awkward, to say the least. My parents and siblings were nowhere to be seen. I hadn't expected them to show up, not after everything that had gone down. But I couldn't help but feel that cold pang of disappointment when I realized they weren't there, either. It was probably for the best. I wasn't about to beg them for forgiveness. I wasn't going to let them drag me back into that toxic cycle of guilt, manipulation, and ungratefulness. It was over. As the days passed, I noticed a subtle shift in the way I approached life. I stopped feeling guilty for prioritizing my needs over theirs. I started making decisions for myself, without worrying about their reactions. I didn't need to explain myself to anyone anymore. But the hardest part was the quiet. I hadn't realized how much noise they had filled my life with until they were gone. There was no one to judge my every move, no one to make me feel bad for my success. It felt like a weight had been lifted, not just from my shoulders, but from my heart. I've thought about reaching out, trying to mend things, but every time I'm tempted, I remind myself why I did it. It's not about revenge or getting back at them. It's about taking control of my life. It's about finally standing up for myself after years of putting everyone else first. In the end, I realized something important. They may be my family, but family doesn't give you the right to treat someone like an option, to take advantage of their generosity without ever offering anything in return. Family should be about respect, love, and mutual support. I had done everything I could to be there for them, but I was never going to be their doormat again. So, for now, I'm at peace with my decision. It's not easy, and it's not something I take lightly, but it's the right choice for me. Now, I want to hear your thoughts. Am I wrong for doing this? Should I have tried harder to make things work with my family? Or was this the only way? Let me know what you think.